this computer. Recording is now in progress.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for joining us for today's OPAT Commission public meeting. I am Evandro Cavallo. I am the Executive Director of OPAT, which is Office of Police Accountability and Transparency. And also in that capacity, I serve as the chair of the OPAT Commission. Today's Thursday, January 29th. It's approximately 3:34 p.m. and I am now calling this meeting to order. This is the first public meeting of OPAT for OPAT Commission for 2026. We are doing it by trying a different methods on Zoom. Obviously, we've had a tough go over the last few days with snow. I'm perhaps actually a little under the weather. And, hopefully we can get through the agenda for today a bit, quicker than usual. And I'm joined together today with, as usual, I think all meetings we've had so far. This, I think it's our fifth meeting. I've had the pleasure of sharing this meeting with my two counterparts, and I'll let them introduce themselves briefly, starting with you, Tony.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Fugate. I am a commissioner for OPAT, specifically the IHOP, which is referred to essentially as the appellate board.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sam Harold. I am chair of the Civilian Review Board.
Thank you, Sam. In today's meeting, again, it's rather focused. As usual, we open up the meeting reviewing our agenda for today. Members of the public, obviously, we sent a public notice, but we did tweak a couple things. But at this point, we'll go over the agenda. Gentlemen, I assume you have the agenda in front of you. We're not doing any slides here today, so if I need to slow down for you to catch up with some of the documents that we sent, I'm happy to do so. The agenda for today is, as usual, we'll go over the previous minutes of the previous public meeting session we had, which was last month in January, and then we'll do. Excuse me. Actually, yes, here it is. We review the minutes, then we'll go into a subpoena discussion, and as well as discussion around, what's going on in the public to some extent in terms of our relationship with BPD and perhaps how we may collaborate with them further, right? And including the meeting that it's up and coming between myself and Esther, the Deputy Director of OPAT, with the Commissioner of BPD that I would like to invite both of you to attend if you can. And then we'll go into an executive session, okay? And we slated the meeting to be about an hour. Obviously, before we get to the executive session, there's also a public comment period. These meetings always, there's a time for members of the public to speak and make comments. So we'll give the opportunity to do that. And then finally, we'll go into executive session. And again, with the plan to hopefully end the meeting within an hour, but, give or take a few minutes, okay? Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Looking into some of my script here. As I just went over, obviously, again, I just went over the run of show or the agenda for today. For members of the public, again, at some point in the meeting, in the next 45 minutes, you'll have a chance to make comments. And if you don't get, if you have to leave before then, feel free to email us your comments at OPAT, OPAT at boston.gov. That's the email of our agency. You can also obviously visit boston.gov/OPAT and find out more information about how you can get in touch with us. So at this point, I'd like first order of business is to approve again the meeting minutes from the OPAT Commission meeting, which occurred on December 18th, 2025. Excuse me, and you should have. We sent those minutes to you ahead of time. If you should have it with you, if you want to take a minute to review it and let me know if there's any corrections, I'm happy to make them. If not, we can approve it.
I see no corrections after my review of the meetings.
I was also able to review this prior And I have I have no corrections to make.
Okay, then, so hearing no further corrections to the minutes, I deem the minutes hereby approved, as well. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
We want to do a roll call.
Do we want to do a roll call? We'll do a roll call.
Do you want
Thank you,
to,
Sam.
do you want us to actually make a motion to do this?
Yes, please.
I'd move that the minutes of the 2018, the December 18, 2025 meetings be accepted.
Thank you. Sam, would you mind,
I second that motion.
thank you. And so having raised this issue, we'll then I'll call a roll call in terms of voting. So Tony, Anthony Fugate,
Anthony Fugate, yes.
Samuel,
Sam Harold, yes.
okay, and myself, Evandro Cavallo, yes. So the minutes are hereby unanimously approved. So the key reason, again, that I wanted to bring us early this year, perhaps, usually we have our meetings after the CRB and the IOP have met, but I thought it was important for us to sort of do a meeting early on and to kind of set to set the tone for the rest of the year. And the key reason is obviously, I think every meeting we've discussed so far, we have discussed the subpoena powers, right? That we have, the tool that we have that the agency has not yet used. And just to kind of reiterate that power in the in the section in our ordinance that where it exists is section 12-16.4. Again, powers and duties of the commission, which says that by 2/3 vote, the commission may subpoena witnesses and compel their testimony under oath, including but not limited to filing contempt proceedings with a superior court, compelling discovery and production of documents, books, papers, or evidence related to any matter under investigation by OPAT, and requiring their attendance during the examination of documentary material, and so on. So that's the key language here that allows us, again, as OPAT Commission, the three of us, by 2/3 votes to subpoena individuals and documents, individuals to submit documents and to provide testimony, in our office. Now, I know in the past we discussed, how we potentially could execute this subpoena powers in the future, but I thought perhaps since this is the first time that we're doing this, that we should just go by, essentially what the ordinance tells us to do, which is to take a vote. Okay. The three of us will take a vote. Now, for today's purpose, again, we sent all these materials ahead of time to you, but we sent a list of personnel from BPD that we want to subpoena for the next CRB meeting, which is the Civilian Review Board meeting, which is slated now to happen February 12th. So essentially, we're here today to exercise this power of subpoena for the first time. And in anticipation of that hearing on February 12th, we created a list of personnel, BPD personnel, we need for that hearing. And these are folks essentially that are related to the cases that are on to be heard that day. And there's 7 cases currently to be heard that day. The cases are 297, 347, 359, 449, 464, 281, and 293. So these are 7 cases that we have. And as you know, typically when we have cases on for hearings, there'll be officers involved, there'll be personnel involved. So we thought that perhaps for this hearing coming up in a few weeks, that we subpoena personnel to attend those hearings. We also sent you a draft subpoena that we've drafted in the office that I'm welcome to hear your thoughts. You both obviously practice criminal law and have a sense of how subpoena should look like. So I'm happy to, and the subpoena that we provided today is just a draft. That's not the final, the final subpoena, if you will. We'll continue to work on it and then send those out. But at this point, again, before I move, I ask for a motion for the subpoena, I wanted to just kind of pause here and have the two of you reflect or ask any questions or comments in terms of what, again, the 2 documents that we sent, including the list of officers, and what the plan here in terms of execution of subpoena.
My first question deals with one of these officers that is presently retired.
Okay.
So I assume we would not be serving BPD. We'd actually be serving this individual that has his home. Is that correct?
That's a safe assumption, yes.
All right, but I mean, and I say that because that's generally not information that's public. Have we been able to obtain the address of that individual from the department?
We have not, as far as I know, and to be honest, this is the first I'm hearing of a potential officer that's retired. So I'm happy that you mentioned that. Hopefully, we can circle back on that and make sure we get the information. Typically, as you kind of alluded to, we, as a former prosecutor, remember how we did this. Is that essentially officers will be emailed, right? And a list will be provided to BPD in terms of officers that are required for a particular case in courts, right? So the plan that we're hoping to do here to perhaps hopefully not have to serve each officer in their home, right? The protocol is that we will do it through email through BPD, and then again send it to BPD. Hopefully, get some help from BPD command staff as well. But if the officers, any officers, or anyone that's also excuse me, I got somebody called me. I got distracted here briefly. Anyone that's retired, we will attempt to find different ways to subpoena them. And obviously, people that are retired, that's something to consider as well in terms of the need, in terms of the case.
I think you brought up another question I'd like to ask.
Mhm.
That is, you're right. From the prosecutor's side, that's how, in fact, you were able to subpoena witnesses. On the defense side, we've never been able to do it that way. We've had to have these documents served by either constable or deputy sheriff. Our statute is silent with respect to that.
And so it is. In fact, that leads me to the next point in our one of the next things we're going to talk about is that we have a meeting with the commissioner next week. So, we're going to try to get a sense from them what they think is best. But we'll be prepared, hopefully, to do, to do the route, as you just alluded to perhaps have a constable serve them, but we're hoping not to go that route.
I mentioned that because in order for us to enforce this,
Mm-hmm.
we have to go to Superior Court.
Yes.
I absolutely see a judge going, give me proof of service.
Okay.
And again, I'm not sure that the emails are satisfactory for the state statute. So
Okay.
I mention that as a thought that we should.
No, I thank you, again, which is why we're doing this together. We've SNI and some of the other team members, we've talked about what the process looks like. And yes, we did consider constable, but we also thought perhaps that it could be a more convenient way. But I hear you loud and clear. I think the best approach is to try to get them subpoena in person, if you will. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because I see the fight going on. I mean, the officers certainly can come in without even being subpoenaed if they're willing to do it. If we're putting on a subpoena, the last thing that I think we need is for them to be coming back with reasons that they didn't have to appear. I wasn't properly served. I wasn't receiving the witness fee.
Agreed.
Those type of things, which is why I mentioned it, because you can see potentially their arguments later on if they don't want to come into court and to be interviewed.
Agreed. We have a couple weeks until the CRB meeting, which is February 12th. But obviously the chair is here too if we need to, depending on the process, right? This is our first time doing it. In order to get it right, we may need to move the meeting as well a bit to just kind of make sure that it is done properly. But right now it's slated for the 12th, which, a couple weeks we should be able to do it, but finding information of the officers, can be perhaps a process in itself, right? Beyond, are you typically when you did them, was it service at home? Was it service within, where the district where they are, and so on? So how did it work for you?
We serve at police headquarters.
Headquarters. Okay. All right. So that makes sense, right? So that makes it less of a cumbersome process
Yes.
to have a constable, and perhaps obviously in this situation we'll have all of them right in one,
Right.
have one delivery, if you will. So I think that in itself makes it a lot less cumbersome then.
Yes. I'm
Thank you.
only worried about the retired one. I question how we're going to be able to serve that one.
Right. And well, which case was it related to, so we can pin down
281.
281? Thank you.
It's Officer Thompson.
I'm sorry, who?
Officer Daniel Thompson.
Okay. Thank you again, Mr. Fugate, for for your thoughts and help here. Sam, any additional thoughts, maybe around the draft of the subpoena or any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think the subpoena is pretty inclusive. Like it has all the relevant material. Um I concur that in most situations I use a constable in order to get I have used investigators, private investigators as well.
Mhm.
I think that there's something in the civil procedure rules that allows for any person who's not a party to serve a subpoena, but I do agree that having a constable is probably the safest way to go about it. But I think that an investigator, if they're part of the investigator, if they're certified by the state of Massachusetts,
Mhm.
um, through the Boston Police or the State Police Department, I think you might be able to serve.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? I mean, obviously, again, you have the sheet here, the cases and the list of officers. Do we just, do we name all the cases and the officers? Do we think the list that we have here and sort of voting on the list would be sufficient?
Are
I,
we introduce this list? I mean, is it
Meaning?
gonna be part of the record? If so, then I've got no problem with just introducing.
Yes, the list is part of the record, and I guess we can officially introduce it to the record, if you will, for purpose of this hearing, of this meeting. We haven't. That's not something that we've done in the past, but I'm happy to, the list that I'm talking about for clarity purposes is currently named or titled Consolidated List of BPD Employees named in allegations and identified for potential presence at the February 12, 2026 Civilian Review Board meeting. Okay, that's and again, the list essentially breaks down, have each case that are listed before: 297, 347, 359, 449, 464, 281, 393, and he goes and names the officers and the unit district that they belong to and the employee number. Which again, I'm happy to read for the record as well, but I think just having the document hereby, if you will, enter into the record of this discussion, and we'll go off of this list. Obviously, I think it would be sufficient. I will again, one thing I will know. Obviously, we have February 12 as the meeting, and we intend to go on that day. But just for flexibility's sake, to just kind of have the option perhaps to move it if necessary, if depending on circumstances, how what kind of hurdles we face in executing these subpoenas. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'd move at this time that this list of individuals that you wish to subpoena be accepted into the record.
Thank you. And Sam.
I can second that motion.
Okay, and uh hearing that raise of the list into the or submission of the list into the record, I'll hereby, ask for a vote, and I'll entertain a vote again. Roll call: Anthony Fugate
Yes,
and Sam Harold.
Yes.
And I, Evandro Cavallo, also vote yes, which means unanimously we voted to have this list I just read, as per record in terms of who will be subpoenaed. Now here, I think let me pause a second here to see where my next point is. I think the next point actually is to vote on subpoena, right? Again,
correct.
evoking the ordinance and the power that we have earlier that I read into the record, which is pursuant to our ordinance, that we, obviously again requiring minimum of 2/3 vote. Obviously, all three of us are here and prepared to vote on this matter. So I hear another motion, if you will, for that purpose.
I would move at this time that the subpoenas be issued pursuant to the list that was just introduced into evidence or introduced into the record.
Thank you.
I would second that motion.
Thank you. And hearing both the procedures that you called for, I will then call this into a official roll call vote, and call each of your names again for a vote on the subpoena of the listed personnel from the document. Tony Fugate,
Yes,
Sam Harold.
Yes.
Thank you. And then at this point, then, this is officially the time to say that, this measure to subpoena personnel from BPD has passed unanimously on this particular date, again, January 29th. It appears to be about 20 minutes into the meeting at 3:54. I'm being abundantly clear here because obviously this is a significant record, if you will, in terms of the step forward in the execution of our and the duties of our agency. Okay, so thank you again for your participation. Now we'll take some much perhaps much lighter, perhaps not too light, a sequence of events as well that continue to happen. Particularly again, obviously both of you need not no refresh around this, but I just mentioned in terms of where we are, right, with BPD in particular, a lot of the discussion is happening in public. You saw that Sam and I know you couldn't attend, Tony, because you had some health concerns. If I may say so, but we missed you, but we definitely, I think, particularly having Sam that was very helpful at the forum that happened two Saturdays ago. I forget exactly. I think it might have been January 15th.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes, the MLK weekend in which Sam and I participated in a 3-hour forum and
17th.
debated 17th.
Yeah.
Thank you. 17th, January 17th, that we went to Malmö to discuss, to sit on the panel, which also had Larry Calderon from the Police Officers Association Union, as well as Eddie Crispin. And it was narrated and moderated by Jamal Crawford. And that debate really was around what's going on between BPD and our agency, and particularly the letters of exchange between the CRB, particularly the September 11 letter to the commissioner, and his response in December 4th, which again, all of you should are well, versed in terms of what the contents of those letters were. And one of the things that came up in that I think we should address a bit, because it seems to be somewhat of a bottleneck now, is around sharing of information with BPD. Okay. In his letter on December 4th, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the letter right in front of me, but the commission insisted that we share, investigatory information with them, right? Whether it's videos or statements from complainants and so on, right? And we know that their stance now is that, all the cases that come through from the CRB to them that are sustained, that the commission is now sending it to the IID, Internal Affairs, for full investigation, which we know the first time he did it was with case 18, but since then, a few other cases, he said the same thing. Okay. And so I wanted to pause here again and sort of talk about the framework that I'm talking about. I always, as I just did in the prior discussion, I like to ground our work in our ordinance, right? What is our authority? What is it that we are capable of doing and not doing? And I will say that the ordinance again in section 12-16.7 talks about this a little bit, okay? And the language, and if you don't have the ordinance, I'm happy to reshare it. I know usually we have it in a binder for you, but the language, I'll read it out loud, is essentially all investigative materials and reports assembled by OPAT staff shall be treated by the staff as confidential and available only to OPAT staff, subject only to provisions for information subject only to provision for information sharing established by regulation of the OPAT Commission and the Massachusetts Public Records Law. Okay, so essentially what this says is that us, the three of us, the OPAT Commission can regulate the space in terms of what we can share, generally speaking. So again, the commissioner, as far as I can tell, in terms of his letter, is that he wants everything to be turned over. and that he's sending it to to further investigation by ID. And then number two, and our stance so far is that, we can't turn it off, right? But I'm saying that, there's a space here perhaps for the OPAC Commission to think about what is it that we want to accomplish and what, how to move forward. And in that vein is also why I added the fact that we are, Esther and I, Esther Lene, the deputy director, is, and myself are meeting with the commissioner on next Wednesday, the from 1 to 2, and you're welcome to both attend. I think some of these meetings, we've done meetings with them in the past, and Esther meets certainly with Dayhill, the superintendent in charge of IAD, on a regular basis, weekly perhaps. But we're having a meeting. This will be the first meeting with them this year. And I thought perhaps I'll lend you that courtesy if you want to attend and talk about some of these things. I think, again, obviously one of the things that'll be on the table is this about, what the protocol should be, and so on. So, any thoughts on that? And on that note, I think again, I had Shonda sent you all, the two of you, an email that came in from Dayhill, particularly asking, documents in a particular case, right? Not documents, but information around documents and statements and what was said and done. So, I guess this area is ripe for discussion, and we don't have to settle it now. But I figured it's important, as we get off the ground this year, since this is peak, in the media and, in terms of what's going on with our agency, for us to start thinking about where we land with this. Did you by any chance get a chance to look at that email as well? It's in a particular case that they already have. It's a case that they already have. I think it's 264. Let me find it here.
As you look for that, may I ask a question?
Go ahead.
In the past, when they do an investigation, have they provided OPAT with all of the witness statements and everything else?
And so I'm glad you brought that question up. This is the work that your side does, right? Primarily the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel is, they package it, right? They'll give the report. They'll have, some statements in there. They'll package essentially their file and give it to us, right? And then we review and say whether we agree or disagree. So, but obviously, we're in your capacity in the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel, we're not going to re-interview witnesses, right? We're not doing a re-investigation. What we're doing is review those things that they sent.
Right.
So, they do send us, materials from the investigation. Yes.
Does it only come to my group, or does it already also go to the CRB?
It only goes to your group because that's the way things are designed.
Right.
Because really, your group is the back end, right? That goes through BPD, and generally speaking, everything that goes through the CRB side, they come from the public, and we do ask them if that's the question you're asking. We ask BPD for information around, body cameras and things like that. They'll give us those largely.
Okay.
But we haven't had instances of cases, essentially where they're required to give us everything other than the cases that go through IAD. That's the way, right? Because again, the posture here is different because we already made the decision or recommendations on our side, in the CRB side. And then what happens now is that we send them the report, right? The report that the CRB, essentially saying this is what the investigation saw, and this is what the CRB did and heard. This is what happened in the hearing, including if witnesses came in and so on. This is what the CRB decided, right? And so we package that into, say a 10-page report, usually less, but we send it over to them, and yeah, right. That's the extent of it, right? They get the report.
Right.
And so his take right now is that that's not sufficient, essentially, right? That us giving a report is not sufficient, which is, again, how, in the letter he says he's got to He's sending to ID. He's got to do some of these things because of state law, and because of collective bargaining, which, as Sam heard, at least from the union, from Larry Calderon, his posture was that, that was his union, or the union, his contract is not hindering, is not, it's not hindering any, BPD from doing anything.
Okay.
But I will say one thing that I'm sure the two of you know as well is that anytime that BPD, the commissioner issues a disciplinary action that's beyond a 5-day suspension, he's required um, per civil service right laws to do a hearing, for the officer to to challenge, right? Which, in a sense, that's something to think about, right? Because if we're saying, you know which we haven't said much, to be honest, a lot of that. But if we're saying, for instance, suspend the officers for 10 days, he's required, if he's going to follow that process, if he's going to follow recommendation to do that. That's, if he's talking, one of the things he's talking about state law, right? That's perhaps one of the state law that he's alluding to. But to an extent, we did have the hearing in our agency, right? So that may suffice. Or, to be honest, I don't know. I know in New York they do it this way. Uh, Maybe there's a way for us to go, if the officer, again, if it's situations where it's 5 days and beyond, for us to do a hearing over there, right, with the officer, right? So, but these are spaces, unfortunately, that is new, right? And we don't have yet a mode of operation in that space. So, we got to think it through. We got to figure out
I agree.
what to do here. But I think at minimum, I wanted to get us going and thinking about where our stance should be and will be in terms of sharing of information, materials that we collect. Obviously, and I can let Sam speak on this, but because he spoke about some of this at the meeting around, the sanctity of our process, right? And giving credibility to what we're doing here. And perhaps that, often victims, what, complainants come to our office because they don't want to go over there and to
Absolutely.
sort of re-victimize them, if you will, for lack of a better word. But like, those are things that we have that are serious and built on our agency for independency, if you will, too, to consider as we go into the space. Sam, am I in the right framework there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of it's a complicated issue, and I know we've like kind of spoken about it at our public meetings a bit, because there has been this ask from the Boston Police Department that we share the material that we are relying on to come to our decisions regarding, whether or not what our findings are supported by.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. I'm torn, and I'm happy to talk it through more. I think part of me is like, well, I think a lot of the stuff that we rely on is stuff
From the-
that the Boston Police Department have ready and willing access to. Like I would say like 60% of the evidence is probably body worn camera footage.
Correct.
And I would say 60% of like the view, like what we look at is body worn camera footage, but like a lot of what we rely on is that body worn camera footage. Like that, a lot of the times it turns the case one way or the other. I know I'm like, I had a chance to read that letter sort of while we were talking, and the interview recording with the complainant. I think that if that's where we're going to, I don't even know. I know that we interviewed them. I don't know if we recorded it. I was looking at 264, and
Mhm.
it says that we interviewed her, or the complainant, but it doesn't necessarily say we recorded it. Maybe I missed it, but I could have. I don't know. And then it talks about records regarding attempts to contact the witness. That seems kind of out of the purview. Like, why would that be relevant?
Right.
It's like if we have to send 3 emails versus 1 email, that doesn't seem to be it shouldn't matter.
Right.
And, um, you know, the records regarding the attempts to contact Sergeant Robert Boyle, and feels like every time we've tried to contact them, they tell us that we should stop trying to contact them.
Right.
Um,
No, the
so
one thing I will say though, if I remember this case specifically, Sergeant Boyle did come to the hearing. This is one of the few times where the
oh,
person did come to the hearing. So it becomes, to go to your point, it's a bit irrelevant. The guy did come, right? So for this, and I don't think I'm mistaken the case, 264.
I think this
So I
was
think
before
this
my
is,
time.
yeah, no, it might have been, maybe, I don't remember, honestly, but it might have been, yes, it was before your time. Yes, it was before your time. Because that case has been flowing around for some time now. So I think that was one of the few cases that the officer, um, and I'm looking at my phone to see if I'm corrected by any of my team, but I think that was one of the ones that the sergeant did come. So what I'm hearing from you though, Sam, is sort of, again, I think we don't have to settle it now. I just wanted to kind of get us talking about it. But we also, I think we can think about, if we're going to go in that direction, what are some of the key things, right, that they perhaps should get or not. So we're not getting in these sort of specifics like you're reading out, like, you know, emails from this and how many attempts you made to an officer or this person or that person. Let's just talk about the meat of what really matters. Like, what is the statement?
Yeah,
What
I
does the
think,
video show? That kind of stuff.
and I think that part of what I also, I guess, the other thought I have, I
Mhm.
don't know where I know I kind of am oscillating back and forth between wanting to provide this stuff so that it doesn't have to be dredged up again, but at the same time, I'm conscientious of the fact that, we do value the privacy of the civilians that come forward. In terms of like an interview recording with the complainant that happened in 2023, I feel like I would want to get permission. I would want to get permission to share that recording. If they made that recording
I
to
agree.
with
Good point.
Diana, and if that recording actually does exist, um, I think that we should either be reaching out and to get permission, or part of the process with taking these complaints in is we ask, can we share this with BPD? And that doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that we're not going to take the case or not, but it's just like where they disclosed that to us in confidence.
Okay.
The hearings are like open for these officers. They can come in and talk, and they not necessarily can't hear what we have to say, but they can review what the evidence is against them, and they're choosing not to show up. It just feels, I don't know. I think so. I guess like my feeling is that if we are turning over materials that are provided by the complainant, that if we are going to share them, I think we have a duty to explain that that's what's going to happen with some of the material, or
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Okay. Why don't we, instead of sort of, I think this is should take more than one conversation.
I
yeah,
agree. I'd
Um,
certainly like a little bit more time to think about this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that, again, like I said, Sam and Tony, if you're inclined, I think, being in that meeting could be helpful to understand. And again, from there we can follow up with another meeting and see where we land. But valid points around the concerns for privacy and people coming in and coming to talk to us, right? Did we record it or not? And did we tell the person that he may be turned over, right? So these are all valid questions that we need to answer, um, no matter which direction we go in this. But I'm glad that we're sort of having this discussion.
yeah,
Um,
me too.
I agree.
okay. But we'll put a pin on it. But let me know. Again, the invite is there. And if it doesn't work, I'm happy to move the date of the meeting as well. But it is on Wednesday, um, and we can provide you further details. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you.
Okay. Now, the other thing that I wanted to, only because Esther Lene text me this. She's I think, I guess when we were, so I want to reopen the subpoena issue because Esther said that I didn't say yes as well. I thought when you both of you say yes, and
There is.
So you know when she's done this to us many times, like, oh, make sure you do this. So she did one of those. So I wanted to,
Yeah.
just in case it's not clear on the record, right? I wanted to just quickly reopen that, in case there's any misstep there, right? On the subpoena, to recall that vote, okay? Not to kind of essentially add to that vote. Um, and I'm kind of just reading our text now, because I thought I had said yes as well. But if I remember correctly, both of you gentlemen said yes, right? I called both your names. You said yes,
That is correct.
and so I'll just amend that vote to add my name as a yes, Evandro Cavallo as a yes. Okay, and just to kind of confirm, I'll just have you say it one more time so it's clear. One more time, okay? And apologies for the brief misstep there. Anthony Fugate, yes,
Yes,
and Samuel Harold.
Yes.
And Evandro Cavallo, yes. And this is again pertaining to the vote earlier, the only vote we're taking. So the second vote we're taking, which was around making sure we subpoena employees of BPD for the next CRB meeting, just to be clear, okay? So that's done. And so now we'll go, I think this is the time where we go to other business. I know, Sam, you had at least one thing that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't sure if it would now be the appropriate time,
I think yes. I think because after this we'll do
executive session.
your public comments first, and then yeah, and then executive session. Yes.
Okay. I sent over a statement
Yes.
regarding
Which we
Jacoby
shared as
Kenny.
well. Tony should have it.
I do.
And it's just a short statement. And I was trying to be cognizant. And I'll say this just sort of for the edification of my view on this is that, you know, I think that the Boston homicide this is an active investigation with Boston homicide. And throughout my dealings with Boston homicide as a defense attorney, as a community member, they are some of the best police officers in the game. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for them and how they've treated my clients, and how they've treated the community at large. They show a great deal of discretion. But at the same time, I just want to sort of highlight that, you know, there was a death that occurred, Jacoby Kenny, on December 8th while he was waiting trial in the Suffolk County House of Corrections. And I think that there's right now a lot of uncertainty about where that investigation is headed. And part of, you know, the reason why we're here, and we talk about it at length. I know Evandro is passionate about why he came to this work through his work with after the George Floyd protests in Boston and across the country. I think this is part and parcel to that issue. We have many men and women that are held at South Bay, and we have to work with them. They are community members just like everybody else. And I want to make sure that we have some amount of transparency in regard to that investigation. So I think the purpose of this statement is that we're just, you know, we're aware of what's going on. I know that BPD is involved. I know some of the best at BPD are involved. And I just want to, I know there's been a lot of community events recently about what's going on in South Bay. And I just want to voice that our organization is with you.
Thank you.
I read the letter. I like the letter.
So it's a
This one is a
statement.
letter or just a
It's a
statement?
statement.
This statement that I was thinking we could publish like we did on like social media and our website.
Yeah.
The previous statement we had released regarding the response to the commissioner's letter.
Yeah. So Tony, what'd you say?
No, it's certainly a shot across the bow, and I agree. I think it's nice to be able to put, to get this out in the social media to let people know that, we're also looking. But, you know, at this particular point, it doesn't look like anything is being done wrong. But again, I do like the statement. I do like the statement.
Okay. I will add that I did speak with I spoke with Superintendent Richard Dayhill about this, and he mentioned that they were investigating it, that BPD homicide is investigating it around the time that when this issue came up. So they are on it, if you will. But happy to obviously if the two of you think we should put a statement out, happy to do it. My only cautionary tale is sort of I like to because we're in these muddy waters, if you will, with a lot of different things going on. And there's a lot of different things, even I like, statement, we could put statements around ICE right now too, right? In terms of what's going on, unfortunately, with Minneapolis. And I actually thought about doing that as well. So I just, as we execute, I want to make sure we stay focused on particularly some of the debates we just had now, so that it's not sort of pulling away from the focus on the central work that we got going. But again, I'm happy. It's a statement, and I think we should be in the habit of doing these. I actually entertain one on ICE, particularly recent killings in Minneapolis. A lot of what's going on in the world, right? So we can't ignore, even though, we know, unfortunately, we don't have investigatory power over ICE, but it's of concern, right, in terms of our communities, in terms of policing. So I think in around those veins, I think it's fine to do if the two are inclined to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy. This was something that I did take some time drafting, and I think
Okay.
it features everything with
The one
but
thing I
I'm happy
would
to
change.
change. I'm happy to modify it.
The one thing I would add, change, and I can do that too, and before we put it up, is the title really should be, it should just be a commit, like the last one, where
That's
it's
fine.
me from the commission versus you had the CRB, even though you're the chair of the CRB in a sense, right? If it was CRB, we would have to go through and obviously have the CRB weigh on it, right?
Yeah,
So I think the only thing is the title to have more OPAT title versus
that's fine.
CRB. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Sense does make sense.
Okay, so I think we should entertain a vote in that regard then, since and
And
I'll
I'm happy to move to publish a version of this letter that is um with the OPAT preface that it's from the OPAT Commission
yes.
as opposed to the Civilian Review Board. And I'd move to have it published by OPAT staff.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. So I haven't heard the process. It's now up for voting, and I'll do a roll call again. Calling Sam Harold first,
Sam Harold, yes.
Anthony Fugate,
Yes.
and I, Evander Cavallo, yes. Okay. Just time check. We are 4:20. So we have 15 minutes, but we may go a little longer, but great work is happening here. And with that in mind, I do want to offer the opportunity, if anyone at this point will move to the public comment section of this meeting. If anyone is currently here, they'd like to make a comment, they can raise their hands. Looks like somebody has. So please, 2 minutes, sir. Peter Lopes, I think I see here. I think the team they're already working on it to lift you up as a commentator. Thank you for being with us, Peter. Are you able to speak yet? Cheyenne and team, make sure he's lifted and unmuted. Can't seem to hear you, sir. Mario, everything technically good on our end?
On our end, everything is technically sound.
Okay.
I think he might just need to they might just need to switch their microphone, perhaps.
Okay. Give him a few seconds.
Peter, we're going to give you some time to just go to your mic settings and try to just select a different mic, perhaps.
Okay. And And sir, if you're unable to, if you're unable to hear you, you're welcome to send your comments. You can even record them and send them via email as well. We'll make sure that's reflected on the record. Our email is opat@boston.gov. I'm not sure why we can't hear you. And it says here on my end that you're permitted to talk too. So I'm not sure what the unfortunate circumstances are for you. But it unfortunately happens as well, too often in these meetings. So we apologize for that. But so just to kind of, since it looks like he jumped out. No, he's still here. And sir, since we can't hear you, I encourage you to send, record your comments. You can send to us at opat@boston.gov, or go on our website at boston.gov/opat as well. Okay, I'm sorry we couldn't hear you. And at this point, I'll move on. And unfortunately, again, I'd love to hear you, but it's not working.
I think he's gone.
So so at this point, for our next order of business, we'll end this session of the public meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
I move that we go into executive session at this time.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. And at this point, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A5, this executive session is being called in order to review and approve matters relating to public officials, and for the case for our purpose. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go into another link, right? Because somehow the Zoom that we have doesn't allow us to break into rooms. So, gentlemen, if you don't mind, can you please jump into the other link that you were sent?
How would I do that?
Shonda sent you a link. The last email that Shonda sent had 2 links in there, so it's the second link. That one is a private one, since this one is public.
I don't know that I have that with me here.
Check your email. Shonda sent, and she'll resend it again too if necessary. So just for members of the public to understand as well, this is officially the end of the public side of the meeting. We are going to the executive session. We did not intend to go back to public section.
Okay.
You see the I'll resend it, okay?
Would you please? Thank you.
Okay.
Tony, we're gonna resend it. Shonda's about to resend it to your.
Executive session is
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, do you see it?
I do not.
it should be coming any minute.
Okay.
For Civilian Review Board and IOP, I mean, we're all
Perhaps checking like spam. Should be coming in from Shonda Green.
Right. It's not in spam either.
Sometimes
Here we go.
it's slow.
Got it?
Yes, just came through.
Excellent. I'm gonna end this call now and
Perfect.
see you over there.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.